Swallowed Star 515 Ancient Picture. Chapter 515 Ancient Picture. A huge pit with a diameter of close to 10,000 kilometers. Just what was it? Even if the moon was thrown in it, it would barely fill it up. Luo Feng stood at the edge of the pit, feeling a weird energy emitting from within. This energy was vigorous, ancient, mad. What a thick, killing aura. Luo Feng gazed. He couldn't see the end of this huge pit. Initially, even when he stood at the 10,000 m tall mountain, he could barely see the edges of the huge pit. However, as he stood here now, no matter how he looked, he couldn't see its end, almost as though it was vast and endless. This huge pit seems like a good place. It's extremely deep, and the killing aura is really thick. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed, revealing a smile. I can build a living quarters here in the pit and train for a long time. For the past half a month, as he didn't have a fixed goal, he had been wandering randomly. But the main reason was that half a month ago, he met the 4 Universe Level 9 geniuses. After he killed one and acquired his space item, a good scan revealed something. The Dead Warrior 2 had a universe ship and communication device. Babata's invasive scan of the communication device had revealed a recorded message within it. From the details of the message, he could deduce. The Dead Warrior was called Wu Qi, and he was an elite genius nurtured by the Undying Shrine. A genius nurtured by the Undying Shrine? I may have some trouble from some absolute warriors. Back then Luo Feng thought. As this Blood River continent wasn't his home ground, he had rushed into the 18th cloud level and sat in his automaton ship, flying for 10 billion kilometers before coming to a stop. I need a safe spot to settle down for a long period of time to study my 9 universe tablet properly. Luo Feng jumped down from the edge of the pit and descended. The killing aura is really thick. Good spot, this is a good spot. Luo Feng's face was filled with glee. He allowed the gravity to pull him down and eventually came to a stop after descending for 1,000 kilometers. Looking at the sides of the mountain, Luo Feng nodded. Right here is a good spot. I'll dig a hole in the wall of the mountain and stay here. As for the bottom of the pit, who knew just how deep this pit went for? Only when he had the time would he decide to go and check. Luo Feng finally set his roots down in this huge pit. With his ability, he was easily able to dig a 100 m wide, 100 m long and 10 m tall space for himself. He also renovated it by carving several stones into statues, along with carvings on the walls, making it feel like a normal home. As for this living quarters, Luo Feng proudly named it Huge Pit Quarters. There was a pathway deep in the huge pit quarters that linked to the side of the mountain wall. The silver-armored Luo Feng and Masha Luo Feng simultaneously sat cross-legged on a rock bed. Yes, his Earth body and the Masha clan were both in the external world together. After all, the Masha clan body was very sensitive with the universe space. Thus, the moment any warrior drew close, he would be discovered, and in times of crisis, the Masha Luo Feng could become a bodyguard. This killing aura is unique to the ancient god ruins, and its effects are really obvious on the body. Luo Feng suddenly stood up. Masha Luo Feng beside immediately vanished into the internal world. The only thing is, my Earth body and the Masha body both have clear pathways to train, but what about the golden horned beast? Deities of the world and absolute void were definitely emphasized. However, the golden horned beast still lacked a battle technique. There were many techniques within its inherited memories. Long before Blood River World, Luo Feng had thought about this problem. Even with Babata's help, he only managed to narrow it down to 12 selected techniques for Luo Feng to pick. However, the choice was simply too hard, and he only managed to pick 3 out of them. They were 8-level Hunt, Tearing Sky and Land, Gold Horn. These 3 techniques were all very powerful. Luo Feng's thoughts were to let the golden horned beast try these 3 first and train in them. After observing the results, he would then pick the technique which he is most proficient in. All of these 3 great techniques belong to close combat. 8-level Hunt, focused on movement. Tearing Sky and Lawn, focused on close combat violence. Gold Horn, focused on killing in one blow. Even though they were all powerful, each of these 3 had their own specialty, be it movement, one-hit kill, or violence. This is really troublesome. At times, with endless choices before you, it does bring about a headache. Luo Feng sighed. After saying those words, he couldn't help but laugh. Those words were indeed vexing. Even the absolute geniuses of the Virtual Universe Company had to use points to exchange for techniques. This was totally unlike the Golden Horned Beast, picking whichever techniques from the inherited memories. I cannot get too proud. If I do, I'll be unlucky. I have to be humble. Feeling good, Luo Feng snorted and followed the pathway in his quarters to a point close to the edge of the hole. He sat by the exit and looked at the endless depths of the huge pit below. Before him was the endless amounts of thick killing aura. He stopped thinking and relaxed. Luo Feng frowned as he looked in the distant killing aura. The pit was shockingly huge. Naturally, the aura would flow within the depth, forming all sorts of illusionary pictures, occasionally forming very lifelike pictures. At this time, within his field of vision, a blurry 100 kilometers huge picture could be seen in the distance. Faint and distant, it was a picture of a type of huge lizard. The only difference from a real lizard was that it had a horn that pierced the skies. Also, it was more built and its claws were bigger. Within that blurry picture, a huge palm suddenly fell from the sky, and that 100 kilometers long beast actually looked up and rushed towards the sky. As it flew, its long lizard tail waved swiftly and fiercely smashed into that huge palm. Rumble! The picture dispersed and the energies flowed out, no longer forming as realistic a picture as before. This, Luo Feng stared wide-eyed. The blurry scenes from before flashed in his mind. The movement of the beast before was mainly flying and waving its long tail, after which that tail whipped that heavenly palm, causing it to totally crumble.
Flight. Tail wave. The picture kept flashing in his mind while he was training the 3 techniques of 8-level hunt, tearing sky and land and gold horn. During this period, Luo Feng suddenly comprehended quite a bit. As his consciousness were linked, anything he understood and saw, the other 2 would naturally learn too. The Golden Horned Beast's training naturally was his Earth body's training. This is definitely not a natural appearance. It cannot be that a simple formed picture would be infused with so much deep origin laws. Indeed, deep and profound. Even the simple flight and wave of the tail replayed in his mind. For the tail to actually whip and crumble that palm, its power was unbelievable. This is not a natural occurrence. Luo Feng suddenly thought of how he gazed at the ancient god ruins from above, seeing the huge pits all over, almost like footprints of an absolute beast. This made Luo Feng's mind flash and his eyes gleamed. Those huge pits could be left behind by a beast from when the legendary battle between the Virtual Universe Company and the Aboriginals of Blood River World clashed. Then, that blurry image earlier, could it be a certain battle scene from back then? Luo Feng was shocked within. In terms of perspective, his was indeed high. He felt that quick battle scene from the picture before definitely exceeded the battle scene of Undyings. Because, in Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng had personally witnessed 2 Undyings battling, and has also seen his teacher Tru Yen demonstrate his prowess. The only thing was, from the feeling, it didn't compare with that beast or the huge palm. Palm! Luo Feng's eyes stared wide. Huge palm. It was almost as though a clap of thunder resounded in his head. Back then in Primal Chaos City, when the 2 Undyings were battling, the universe space itself went silent and the laws stopped turning. A huge palm had reduced these 2 Undyings to dust. Even though they regenerated back, they were heavily injured. The Primal Chaos City leader's palm? Yes, that feeling. Luo Feng nodded. However, this one doesn't seem as terrifying as the city leader's. When the city leader made his move, it seemed as though everything within the universe space was subdued and controlled. And this blurry image, Luo Feng only felt a bit of it. Flight and tail wave. Exciting, this is so exciting. Luo Feng didn't think more of it, grabbing the chance to use his time to study and comprehend it. The more he did, the more thrilling it got. Those 2 movements made Luo Feng's comprehension of the tearing sky and land improve by leaps and bounds. This was a close combat violent technique, of which tearing sky referred to claw attacks while tearing land referred to using its tail. Naturally, this was the most simple explanation. However, looking at the ancient picture had caused Luo Feng to be filled with a confidence in training tearing sky and land. That's it, the golden horned beast's battle technique will be tearing sky and land. Luo Feng made the decision. His eyes gleaming, looking at the distant endless aura, anticipating, who knows if I'll get to see another picture. At this time, even though Luo Feng was training within his quarters, the Masha body had become a rock by the entrance of the cave, carefully examining the aura movement outside. 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. After staying there for 2 months, the Masha body had discovered a total of 3 pictures, including the first. From long periods of staying there, he would occasionally see these 3 repeat, not ever seeing another new one. Among these 3 pictures, the first one was where only that huge palm descending from above, the beast waved its tail and flew while dispersing the palm. The second one was where the beast lowered its head, its gold horn aimed ahead, piercing forward as it flew, a simple charge scene. The third one was about the beast that violently waved its claws, slashing forward.